Today I'm working on taking these leggy seedlings and uppotting them into larger containers. I've got tomatoes, red peppers, a couple of other varieties, San Marzano, and we've also got some broccoli. These are the seeds I used this year. I've got some sweet red peppers, those big beefsteak tomatoes, the Romas, and also broccoli. Really hope our broccoli takes off. My wife wanted some flowers, so we went with a couple of different wildflower mix, some zinnia, marigolds, and cosmos. She wanted these over traditional flowers just because she likes to mix them together. We just recently relocated to the upstate of South Carolina from Florida back in September, and we're at a rental house currently. So, this is my makeshift table that I've got all my plantings on. We are currently building a home here close by, and that should be done in June. So we figured we'd get started with planting some seedlings and figuring out what we wanted in our garden. Tomatoes are always fun. Like I said, we eat a lot of broccoli, so looking forward to that coming up. Red bell peppers as well. Just anything that we can mix in with our food at night is always a great addition to not have to buy that at the store. Coming from Florida recently, and this being our new spring in South Carolina, we weren't really sure on the timing of starting our seeds. So starting March was probably a little too early. It's Masters Sunday today, so early on in April, almost mid-April right now, and I probably should have started right about now. Since I don't plan on putting any of these into the ground at our new home, I use the raised bed soil just to move it from container to container. I figured that would be the safest bed as opposed to a potting soil that you put in the ground or anything of that nature. I plan on using earth boxes or anything that's portable, as I don't really want to dig up my new yard and or have those dead spaces during the winter time. I wanted to keep this as mobile as possible. And that way I can just decide where everything's going to go once we get all settled in. So, a few lessons learned for next year. With these trays, they're great. However, the way I did it, I allowed them to get leggy by not having the correct amount of light over them. I probably left them in a little too long, and that was purely because I started too early. It was still cold outside, and there was no way they would have survived outside that long. I did get a small portable greenhouse off of Amazon for about 40 bucks, and it was doing great until I had a windstorm come up in March, and lo and behold it blew it over, and I lost almost every one of my plantings. So lesson learned there. I ended up scooping up everything that was on the ground and just trying to save what I could into the little cups. And so there were things that got mixed up in there, and I was hoping they'd just grow back. And a lot of the Roma tomatoes did. I think I had 24 seedlings of Romas in there. Um, and yeah, it was an unfortunate afternoon. I didn't know what to do at that point in time, so I just scooped it all up, put them back in there, and they did regrow. So I do have some tomatoes that are mixed because the roots had kind of grown together, and being at the size that they are, I didn't want to separate too many of them, which is where we're at today with this uppotting plan. Taking my time trying to take apart some of these smaller roots, bury that stem a little bit deeper, and really just try to strengthen the plant, getting it its own space. Hopefully, it'll grow into its space there a little bit better, and it'll be easier to replant once we get relocated. I'm not too concerned about the tomatoes. Those are easy to kind of revive because they've got that fur on the stem that you can really bury deep, and they'll start regrowing roots and really hold. The deeper you plant a tomato, sometimes the better, just because it will really get a strong root system. The broccoli, however, got really leggy and really concerned. You can see here I've got two pieces that are kind of intertwined and give me a little bit of difficulty. Those are a little bit harder to bury deep and they're really laying over. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to save these or not. But the good thing about broccoli is they can germinate in about 3 days. So right from seed, it doesn't take too long. I'm just hoping that since I've got leaves on these plants and they seem to be doing well, that repotting these will strengthen them a little bit and we'll have these because they're kind of a one and done plant. I don't know that we're going to have enough of a season that I'm going to be able to get too many heads of broccoli off of them, but I'll give it a whirl anyway and see what comes about. And based on the number of seedlings I did, I think I might have had a little bit of overkill, but I can always use them as housewarming gifts for my new neighbors. And um, if I kill a few, it'll be okay. But I just figured it was better to have more than not enough. And I come to find out, almost every single seed I planted germinated, which is pretty unheard of. These trays hold like 160 little pods, and I got a plant out of every single one of them. So, and ultimately, here's a final look of everything that I've got going. I'll probably maintain these in their pots until we get relocated here in about 2 months. Still got to figure out what I'm going to do with all of these leggy seedlings, but it's a good problem to have, and I'll figure it out. These were the flowers that sprouted, and they're looking good, and we've got them already in pots ready to go. So coming up on my next video, I'm going to take you through the yard transformation I did here on this Bermuda grass in this rental home. I appreciate you sticking around. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video.